Clean all the bugs that got stuck to it first. And then add a filter. And it fits. Okay, my major problem before I started putting this thing together was this thing has a rubber seal on it, and they didn't give me a new one. And of course I misplaced this one, at least for a little while. Feels like it has some crud under it, but I'm not seeing any. Oh, there's a divot in the steel right there. It's going to cut my seal. So match up the spots that have wear on it, because I know they go to the top. And just a matter of reassembling it. Always screw the bolts in by hand, a couple of threads. When you get to the end of this, remember that they don't have to be that tight, because that rubber seal, it squishes together and seals it. So you only have to tighten it tight enough to make sure these bolts don't come out. Don't break anything. Okay, so if you ever wonder what this thing was on the side of a Ford 555 backhoe, this is the hydraulic filter. And then the hydraulic screen is underneath the hydraulic tank, but this apparently is not in between the tank and the hydraulic pump. So this is pressurized hydraulic fluid that goes through this filter, which means it just blows through if you have any problems. Okay, that's where you always want to lift the bucket up before you change the filter, because apparently it drained all my hydraulic fluid out. Another 40-50 bucks. So always more than one way to skin a cat, so I'm going to go ahead and skin this thing. Yeah, get my foot out of the bottom of this thing just in case this thing drops. Don't want to cut my toe off. I also want to be above it, have my feet above it, because I'm not wearing steel toe shoes. And I'm also keeping my fingers out of the holes just a little bit in case I have to let go of it. And I'm just gonna, let's pull it off to the side. This works, I get a seat. And you get the screwdrivers with the 4 parts, because then you have that little ratchet effect down there. Okay, here we have the hydraulic reservoir. Right up under here is a steel screen filter, and all this has to be taken out. There is a rubber filter above this, and these screws are real easy to lose, and if you lose it, they do not replace easy because they are a bastard size. I have done this before, and since I have run my hydraulics dry, I may as well clean this screen again. There we go. One screwdriver on the bottom of it. Take it off from the pump. I do remember that part. And then pull it off that stem. 6 screws on it, and they are not, the screws in here are not evenly divided. They have some weird system of dividing them, so however you take this thing apart, you have to put it on exactly. And this just happens to be the wrong size. Okay, doing a recap on this screen filter here. What's happening is they have paper filters, and when the paper breaks down, the paper fibers fill up the screen. When the screen gets filled up, it sucks the whole screen down into itself and shuts the hydraulic tank off from the hydraulic pump, which can ruin your hydraulic pump. So hopefully the later models than this one, or I should say the newer models of this one, will take care of that problem. I don't know what year this one is, but it's pretty ancient. And as you can see, when I try to line up holes here, they don't line up unless you have them in exact pattern. I had a 1 out of 6 chance getting it right. Okay, I'm going to put the front one on. And like I said earlier, make absolutely sure you remember how that thing went on, or you'll be taking this thing off again. You only have to get one in. Get it started. You want to get them all started by hand before you put them in, because you never really know if you have this thing in the right hole, and I don't think I do. I think I have it over one. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out. Okay, if you're doing it for the first time, what I advise is taking a marker and marking this and then marking that flange. For the back ones, I'm going to switch over to that magnetic driver bit. That way I don't lose them as easily. Notice I said as easily. Just so long as I don't tighten it with any of them. Because you want this loose, because there is a rubber seal in here that you have to get this through also. If you tighten it up with the rubber seal not lining up with the hole, it will run you into all sorts of nasty problems. And this is number 6, so I can go ahead and tighten it up. Well, snug it down anyway. Tighten it up with a ratchet. There's one. And 2. Okay, if you were wondering, this wire right here, it goes in there to keep the hose from collapsing. However, it was in wrong, and it stretched out so much that it wouldn't allow me to put the hose back on. So I'll probably have to go to a hard auto parts store and buy another one when this thing sucks this hose up and busts the hose. So that's generally what happens to them if you don't have that screen in there. Yeah. Get my foot out of there. Don't want my toes chopped off. And one more. Can't do without this screen, otherwise you'll get a tree branch going through all your hoses and your radiators and your hydraulic cooler. And there you have it, one hydraulic system that could have only been designed by an engineer.